I can see you.
Those 4 words came out as a whisper, but in that quiet room, they sounded like thunder. My wife froze. Her hands stopped moving. The smile on her face disappeared like smoke. She had been standing right there, right in front of me, laughing with him, touching his face, kissing his lips. She thought I couldn't see. For 3 whole months, my family believed I was blind. They acted like I was a ghost in my own house. They said things, did things, terrible things. And I saw it all, every single moment. My name is Desmond Eze, and this is the story of how I faked being blind to test the people I loved most in this world. But here's the real question. Have you ever wondered who would stay by your side if you lost everything? Your money, your power, your sight? What if the people sleeping under your roof, eating your food, and spending your money? What if they were praying for you to stay broken? Because some secrets are so painful, blindness would feel like a gift. If you've ever trusted someone with your whole heart, if you've ever loved your family more than yourself, then you need to hear what happened in my house. Hit that like button right now if you believe real love should be tested. Drop a comment and tell me, would you do what I did? And subscribe because this story has a twist that will leave you speechless. The rain was angry that night. It beat against the windows of my office like fists trying to break in. Thunder rolled across the sky, lightning flashed and made shadows dance on the walls. I was sitting at my desk, working late, again, like I always did. My company, Easy Solutions, was my pride and joy. I built it from nothing. Started with just me and one small office. Now we had 3 buildings and over 200 workers. We helped people find good jobs. We changed lives. But that night, I should have gone home early. I checked my phone. It was almost 11 p.m. I had 3 missed calls from my wife, Laura. I sighed and put the phone down. She was probably calling about money again. She always needed money for something. New shoes, new bags, new clothes. I loved my wife, I really did, but sometimes I felt like I was just a bank account to her, not a husband. Just money with legs. My daughter Mimi was the same way. At 15 years old, all she cared about was designer clothes and expensive phones. Last week, she screamed at me because I bought her an iPhone 13 instead of an iPhone 15. She called me cheap. She said all her friends had better fathers. Those words cut me deep. But then there was Chinedu, my 9-year-old son, my boy. He was different. He would hug me when I came home. He would ask me about my day. He would draw me pictures and leave them on my desk with notes that said, "I love you, Daddy." Chinedu was the only one who made me feel like a father instead of an ATM machine. I stood up and walked to the window. The rain was getting worse. The streets below were empty. Everyone had gone home to their families. I should go home too, I thought. That's when I heard it. A sound downstairs, like glass breaking. My office was on the 3rd floor. The building should have been empty. The security guard, Mr. James, was supposed to be at the front desk. I grabbed my phone and called him. No answer. My heart started beating faster. I walked slowly to my office door and opened it just a crack. The hallway was dark. The lights were off. They were never off. Something was very wrong. I heard footsteps, heavy boots on the stairs, coming up, coming toward me. Then I heard voices, rough voices, angry voices. Check every office. He must be here somewhere. His car is still in the parking lot. He didn't leave. My blood ran cold. Robbers. I quickly locked my office door and ran back to my desk. My hands were shaking as I dialed 911. Emergency services? What's your... Bang! Someone kicked my door. Hard. He's in there. Break it down. I dropped my phone. The operator's voice was still talking, but I couldn't hear the words anymore. All I could hear was my own heart pounding in my ears. Bang! 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 The door was starting to crack. I looked around my office. There was nowhere to hide, just my desk, some chairs, and a small bathroom in the corner. The bathroom. Maybe I could lock myself in there until the police came. I ran toward it just as my office door exploded open. 3 men rushed in. They wore black masks over their faces. One had a metal pipe, another had a long knife, the third one had a gun. A gun. I had never seen a real gun pointed at me before. It looked huge, like it could swallow the whole world. "Where's the safe?" the man with the gun shouted. "We know you keep money here." My mouth was so dry I could barely speak. I don't keep cash here. Everything is in the bank. I can transfer. Liar! The man with the pipe swung at me. I tried to duck, but I wasn't fast enough. The pipe hit my shoulder and pain exploded through my body. I fell to the ground. "Search everything!" the leader yelled. They started destroying my office, throwing papers everywhere, breaking drawers, smashing my computer. I tried to crawl toward the door, but the man with the knife grabbed my shirt and pulled me back. "Where's your wallet, your watch? Give us everything." I reached into my pocket with trembling hands and pulled out my wallet. He snatched it and threw it to the others. "Only 3,000 naira? Are you joking?" The leader kicked me in the stomach. "A rich man like you only carries 3,000 naira?" I couldn't breathe. The pain was everywhere now. "Please," I gasped, "take whatever you want. Just don't hurt me. I have children. I have a family." The leader bent down close to my face. His breath smelled like cigarettes and alcohol. "You should have thought about your family before you became so greedy. Rich people like you make me sick." Then he hit me with the gun. Once, twice, 3 times. Everything went red. Then black. Then red again. I heard sirens in the distance. Someone must have called the police. The robbers heard it too. "Let's go! Now!" They ran out of my office, leaving me bleeding on the floor. I touched my face. It was wet. Warm. Blood. So much blood. The last thing I remember before everything went dark was thinking about Chinedu, about his smile, about his drawings. I hoped he wouldn't be sad when he found out his daddy was gone. I woke up 3 days later. The first thing I saw was white. White ceiling, white walls, white sheets. Hospital. My head felt like someone was hammering nails into it. My whole body was screaming with pain. I tried to move, but even breathing hurt. "Desmond? Desmond, can you hear me?" I turned my head slowly. Dr. Felix was standing next to my bed. His face looked worried and tired, like he hadn't slept in days. "Felix?" My voice came out like a whisper. My throat was so dry. "Thank God." Felix grabbed my hand. "Brother, you scared us. You've been unconscious for 3 days. The doctors weren't sure if you would wake up." 3 days? I tried to sit up, but pain shot through my ribs. I fell back against the pillow, gasping. "Easy, easy," Felix said. "You have a broken rib, a concussion, and 20 stitches on your head. You're lucky to be alive, my friend." Lucky. That's a funny word for how I felt. "Where's my family?" I asked. "Where's Laura, the kids?" Felix's face changed. Just for a second, something dark flashed in his eyes. Then he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "They were here earlier. Lara said she had to take Mimi shopping for something urgent. She said they would come back later." Shopping. I almost died, and my wife went shopping. Something cold settled in my chest, like ice forming around my heart. "Felix," I said quietly, "I need you to do something for me." "Anything, brother. What do you need?" I looked at the ceiling for a long time before I spoke. The idea had been growing in my mind since I woke up. It was crazy, maybe even cruel, but I had to know. "Tell them I can't see." Felix froze. "What?" "Tell my family that I'm blind. That the attack damaged something in my brain and now I can't see anymore." "Desmond, that's insane. Why would you—" "Because I need to know the truth." My voice came out louder than I meant it to. Pain shot through my ribs again, but I didn't care. "Felix, think about it. When was the last time my wife called me just to say she loves me? When was the last time Mimi hugged me without asking for money first?" Felix opened his mouth, but no words came out. "Only Chinedu. My little boy treats me like I'm more than just a wallet. And I need to know. I need to know if anyone else really loves me. Not my money, not my house, not my cars. Just me." Felix sat down heavily in the chair next to my bed. He rubbed his face with both hands. "This is dangerous, Desmond. What if you find out things you don't want to know?" "Then at least I'll know the truth," I said. "Please, Felix. You're the only person I trust. You're my best friend. Help me do this." For a long moment, Felix just stared at me. Then slowly, very slowly, he nodded. "Okay," he whispered. "I'll help you. But Desmond, I hope you're ready for what you might discover." I closed my eyes. A tear ran down my cheek. "So do I, my friend. So do I." 2 hours later, my family came to visit. I was wearing dark sunglasses that Felix brought me, the kind blind people wear. My hands were resting on the bed sheets, not moving. I heard the door open, high heels clicking on the hospital floor. That was Lara. She always wore expensive shoes. "Desmond? Baby?" Her voice sounded sweet, sugary, like honey. But I had known this woman for 18 years. I could hear something else underneath it. Something that sounded almost like relief. No, I must be imagining it. "I'm here," I said weakly. "Is that you, Laura?"
"Yes, it's me." She came closer. I could smell her perfume, the expensive one I bought her last month. "How are you feeling?" "Everything hurts," I said. That part wasn't a lie. But Felix told me something. He said I can't see anymore. Silence. A long, terrible silence. "What do you mean you can't see?" That was Mimi. My daughter's voice was sharp, scared. "The attack damaged something in my brain," I explained, using the story Felix and I had prepared. "The doctors say I might never see again." More silence. Then Laura's hand touched mine. Her fingers were cold. "Oh, Desmond, that's terrible. Just terrible." Her voice still sounded sweet, but why wasn't she crying? Why wasn't she screaming or breaking down? "We'll get through this together, won't we, kids?" "Yeah, sure." Mimi's voice was flat, empty. Then I heard small footsteps running toward me, little arms wrapped around my neck, careful not to hurt me. "Daddy!" Chinedu was crying, really crying. I could feel his tears on my hospital gown. "Daddy, I was so scared. I thought you were going to die." I wrapped my arms around my son and held him tight. This was real love. This was what I needed. "I'm okay, little man. I'm okay." "But you can't see me anymore." Chinedu's voice was breaking. You can't see my drawings? My heart shattered into a million pieces, but I had to keep playing the role. No, son, I can't see, but I can still feel your hugs, and that's the most important thing. Chinedu hugged me tighter. Over his shoulder, I heard Laura and Mimi whispering to each other. I couldn't hear all the words, but I caught a few. About how long, what about money, the company. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about money. Felix was right. This was going to be painful. But I had started the test, and now I had to see it through to the end, even if the truth destroyed me. The next morning, they brought me home. Felix helped me into the house, pretending to guide me like I really couldn't see. Everything looked the same. The big living room with its expensive furniture, the chandelier Laura insisted we needed, the flat-screen TV that cost more than most people's cars. But something felt different. Wrong. "Careful, Desmond," Laura said, holding my arm. "There's a step here." I knew there was a step. I had lived in this house for 12 years, but I pretended to stumble a little. "Thank you," I said. She helped me to the couch and I sat down. My body was still sore from the attack, so at least that part didn't require acting. "I'm going to make you some tea," Laura said. Her voice still had that sweet sound. "You just rest, okay?" "Thank you, my love." She walked away toward the kitchen. I sat there in my dark glasses, my face blank. But inside, I was watching everything. And what I was about to see in the coming days would break my heart in ways I never imagined possible. The test had begun, and there was no going back now.
The first week was hard, not because of my injuries. Those were healing slowly. The pain in my ribs was getting better. The headaches were less terrible. No, the hard part was pretending to be blind while watching my family fall apart. Or maybe they were always broken. Maybe I was just too blind to see it before. On the third day home, I heard something that made my blood run cold. I was sitting in the living room. Laura thought I was sleeping because I had my head back and wasn't moving. But I was awake, always listening. Mimi came home from school. I heard her throw her bag on the floor like she always did. "Mom," she called out. "Mom, where are you?" "In the kitchen," Laura called back. Mimi's footsteps went toward the kitchen. I stayed perfectly still. "Mom, I need money for the school trip to Dubai next month." "How much?" 500,000 naira. My heart jumped. 500,000? For a school trip? "That's a lot of money, Mimi," Lara said. But her voice didn't sound worried. It sounded excited. "Did you ask your father?" "Are you crazy?" Mimi laughed. Actually laughed. "Look at him, Mom. He's blind now. He can barely take care of himself. How was he supposed to run the company like this?" "You're right," Lara said quietly. "Everything is going to change now." "What do you mean?" There was a pause, a long pause. Then Lara spoke again, and her voice was different, colder, like ice. "Your father has been the one controlling everything, the money, the business, the bank accounts. But now he's weak. He needs us. So maybe it's time we take control, for the family's sake, of course." I felt like someone had stabbed me in the chest. My own wife, plotting against me, planning to take everything. "But what about Dad?" Mimi asked. She didn't sound worried, just curious. "Your father will be fine. We'll take care of him. But he can't run a company while blind, can he? Someone responsible needs to step in. Someone like me." They both laughed. They laughed.
I sat there in the living room, wearing my dark glasses, my hands gripping the armrest of the couch so hard my knuckles turned white. But I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't let them know I could hear every single word. The test was working, and it was killing me. That night, I lay in bed next to Laura. She thought I was asleep, but I was watching her, through my half-closed eyes, hidden behind the darkness of the room. She was on her phone, texting someone, smiling at the screen. Who texts at midnight and smiles like that? My wife didn't know I had set up small cameras around the house before the accident. Felix helped me. They were tiny, hidden in clocks, in picture frames, in the corners of rooms. I told Felix I wanted to see the truth. All of it. The next morning, while everyone was out, I took off my glasses. I pulled out my laptop that I kept hidden under the bed, and I watched the recordings from the night before. What I saw made me want to scream. After I fell asleep, Laura got out of bed. She went downstairs and she made a phone call. "Hi, baby," she said into the phone. Her voice was soft, sweet, the way she used to talk to me when we first met. "Baby? I miss you too," she continued. "No, he's asleep. He can't hear anything." She was quiet for a moment, listening. I know. Just a little longer. Once I get control of the company and the accounts, we can be together. Really together." My hands started shaking. "He's completely helpless now," Laura said, and she was smiling. Actually smiling. The blind fool, he never saw this coming. She laughed at her own joke. Then she said something that destroyed me. "I never loved him, you know. I only married him for the money. And now, finally, it's all going to be mine. Ours." I slammed the laptop shut. For a long time, I just sat there in the dark room, not moving, not breathing. 18 years. 18 years of marriage, 2 children, a whole life together. And it was all a lie. She never loved me. Never. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break everything in the room. But I didn't, because the test wasn't over yet. I needed to see more. I needed to know everything before I made my move. So I put my glasses back on. I climbed back into bed, and I pretended to be blind. Pretended to be weak. Pretended not to know that my whole life was a lie. The next few days were worse. Mimi started treating me like I was invisible. She would walk past me without saying hello. When I asked her about school, she would give me one-word answers and then leave. One afternoon, I heard her on the phone with her friends. "Yeah, my dad is blind now," she said. "It's so annoying. He just sits around all day doing nothing. He's like a vegetable." Her friends laughed. "I know, right?" Mimi continued. "My mom says we might have to put him in a home or something if he doesn't get better." A home? They were planning to throw me away like garbage? But the worst part, the part that hurt more than anything, was Chinedu. My sweet little boy was changing too. Mimi and Lara were poisoning his mind. I heard them talking to him one evening. "Chinedu, you know Daddy can't play with you anymore, right? He's sick, very sick." "But he promised to teach me how to ride a bicycle," Chinedu said sadly. "Well, he can't keep that promise now. Blind people can't do anything. You need to understand that. Maybe when he gets better." "He's not going to get better," Mimi snapped. "Stop being a baby. That is useless now." I heard Chinedu start to cry, and I heard Lara comfort him, but her words were poison. "It's okay to be sad, baby, but you need to be strong. Your daddy isn't the same person anymore. You need to accept that. I sat in my room listening to all of this, and I felt something inside me break. Not just my heart, my whole soul. But then something else happened. Something I didn't expect. Joy, our housekeeper, knocked on my door. Mr. Desmond, can I bring you some food?
Yes, please come in. Joy entered with a tray. She was a young woman, 27 years old. She had worked for us for 3 years. Always quiet, always respectful, always kind. She set the tray on the table next to me. "Thank you, Joy," I said. "You're welcome, sir." She turned to leave, but then she stopped. "Mr. Desmond?" "Yes?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke in a whisper. "I know." My heart stopped. "Know what?" I asked carefully. "I know you can see." The room went completely silent. How? How did she know? "Last night," Joy continued in that same whisper, "I came to check on you. You thought everyone was asleep, but I saw you. You were looking at your phone, reading messages. Your glasses were on the table. I didn't say anything, couldn't say anything." "Why are you pretending, sir? Why are you doing this?" For a long moment, I considered lying, denying it, pretending I didn't know what she was talking about. But I was so tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of lying. Tired of being alone with this terrible truth. I needed to know. I needed to know who really loves me. Joy was quiet. Then she said something that made me want to cry. I took off my glasses, looked at her with my real eyes, eyes that could see everything. I found out that I've been living with strangers, people who only see me as a wallet, not as a husband, not as a father, just money. Joy's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, sir. I've seen how they treat you. It's not right. It's not fair. Will you help me? Will you help me watch them, see what they do when they think I can't see?" "Yes, sir. I'll help you. Because you're a good man. You deserve better than this." For the first time in weeks, I felt like I wasn't completely alone. Someone knew the truth, and someone was on my side. The test continued, but now I had an ally. And what Joy would help me discover in the coming days would be even worse than anything I had seen so far. Because Lara wasn't just planning to take my money. She was planning something much, much darker. 2 more weeks passed. 2 weeks of watching, listening, recording everything. Joy became my eyes and ears when I couldn't be in the room. She told me things that made my stomach turn. She told me about the man who came to visit Lara when I was sleeping. A man named Richard. He owned a restaurant downtown. Joy said they kissed in my kitchen, in my house, while I was upstairs in bed. She told me about Mimi stealing money from my wallet, 200,000 naira over the past week. When I asked Lara about the missing money, she said she didn't know anything about it. She lied straight to my face. But the worst thing Joy told me was about a conversation she overheard. Lara was on the phone with Richard again. "The lawyer says if Desmond is declared mentally unfit, I can take over everything," Lara said. His blindness is the perfect excuse.
How long? Richard asked.
Another month, maybe 2. Then we'll have him declared incompetent, put him in a care facility, and everything he built will be ours.
Joy said Lara was smiling when she said this. That's when I knew. The test was over. I had seen enough. I called Felix and told him everything. Every detail. Every betrayal. Every lie. What are you going to do? Felix asked. I'm going to show them the truth, I said. All of it. When? Tomorrow. I'm calling a family meeting. Tell them it's about my will and the company. Everyone needs to be there. Felix was quiet for a moment. Are you sure you're ready for this, brother? No, I said honestly, but it has to be done. The next evening, everyone gathered in the living room. Lara sat on the big couch dressed in an expensive dress. She had done her hair and makeup like she was going to a party. Mimi sat next to her, busy on her phone. She didn't even look up when Felix started talking. Chinetto sat on the floor playing with his toy cars. My sweet boy. The only pure heart in this house. Joy stood in the corner, her hands folded. She knew what was about to happen. I could see the nervousness in her eyes. I sat in my usual chair, wearing my dark glasses. My face was blank, calm. But inside, my heart was beating like a drum. Felix stood in the middle of the room with a folder in his hands. Thank you all for coming, Felix said. Desmond asked me to gather everyone because he has something important to discuss. About his will. About the future of the company. Lara stood up straighter. I could feel her excitement even without looking at her. This was what she had been waiting for. As you all know, Felix continued, Desmond's condition has been very difficult for the family. Being blind has changed everything. Yes, it has. It's been so hard on all of us, especially on Desmond. He needs help, professional help. Is that right? Felix asked. Absolutely. I've been thinking maybe it's time we looked into a care facility, somewhere with doctors and nurses who can watch him 24 hours a day. Mimi nodded. Mom's right. Dad needs more help than we can give him. I sat there, not moving, not speaking. That's interesting, Felix said, because Desmond and I have been discussing the same thing. About who can help him, who he can trust. Exactly, Lara stood up, and as his wife, I think I should take over the company. Just temporarily, of course, until he's better. We all know he's not getting better, Mimi added. Silence filled the room. Then Felix smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Well, before we make any decisions, I think Desmond has something he wants to say, don't you, Desmond? This was it. The moment of truth. I stood up slowly. My body was still a little sore, but I was strong enough. I reached up to my face, and I took off my glasses. Lara's smile froze on her face. Mimi looked up from her phone confused. I looked at them, really looked at them, with eyes that could see everything. "Hello, family," I said clearly, strongly. Surprise. Lara's face went white. "Desmond, what are you? What am I doing?" I finished for her. "I'm seeing. I've been seeing everything for the past month." "That's impossible," Mimi whispered. The doctor said what I told them to say. I was never blind. It was a test. A test. Lara's voice was shaking now.
Yes. A test to see who really loved me. Who would stand by me when I had nothing, when I was weak, helpless. I walked toward them slowly. And you all failed. Every single one of you. Except him. I pointed to Chinedu, who was staring at me with wide eyes. "Daddy?" Chinedu whispered. "You can see me?" "Yes, little man. I can see you. I've always been able to see you." Chinedu jumped up and ran to me. He hugged my legs tight. "I knew it," he cried. "I told Mommy you would get better. I prayed every night." I picked him up, even though it hurt my ribs. I held my son close. "I know you did, buddy. You're the only one who did." I looked at Lara. She was standing now, her hands shaking. "Desmond, I can explain." "Explain what?" I said coldly. "Explain how you called me a blind fool? Explain how you were planning to steal my company? Explain Richard?" Her face went even whiter. You know about..." "I know everything, Laura. Everything." I nodded to Felix. He pulled out a remote and pointed it at the TV. The screen came to life, and there it was. All the recordings, all the conversations, all the lies. Lara talking on the phone about taking control. Mimi calling me useless and a vegetable. The plan to put me in a care home. Richard visiting the house. The kiss in the kitchen. Everything. Lara watched the screen and tears started running down her face. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of fear. "I trusted you," I said quietly. "I gave you everything. A home, security, love. And this is what you did? Desmond, please." 18 years. 18 years of marriage. And you never loved me. Not once. "That's not true." Don't lie to me anymore. My voice was loud now, strong. I heard you say it yourself. You only married me for money. Mimi stood up. Dad, And you. I turned to my daughter. You called me a vegetable. You said I was useless. Your own father. Mimi's face crumpled. She started crying too. But I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Just emptiness. I want you both to leave, I said calmly. Pack your things. You have until tomorrow morning. You can't kick us out! Laura screamed. This is my house too! Actually, it's not, Felix said, holding up some papers. The house is in Desmond's name only, always has been. And according to Nigerian law, he has every right to remove you. What about Mimi? What about your daughter? I looked at Mimi. Really looked at her. Mimi is 18 in 3 years. Until then, I'll pay for her school and give her a place to stay. But not here. Not with me.
She made her choice. I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. And that's okay. You're young. Maybe one day you'll understand what real love means. But right now, I can't have you here. I turned to Joy. Joy, please help them pack. Joy nodded and left the room with Mimi following behind, sobbing. Laura stood there, staring at me. I'll take everything from you, she said, and her voice was different now. Hard, mean. The mask was completely gone. I'll get lawyers. I'll fight you for everything. Try, I said simply, but you won't win. I have evidence of your affair, evidence of your plans to steal from me, evidence of everything. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Finally, she just turned and walked away. When she was gone, I sat down on the couch. Chinedu was still in my arms. Felix sat next to me. You okay, brother? He asked. No, I said honestly. But I will be. What are you going to do now? I looked at Chinedu, at his sweet face, at his innocent eyes. I'm going to be a better father. A real father, not just a wallet. What about the company? The company will be fine. I built it once. I can run it again. Felix smiled. And Joy? I looked at the doorway where Joy had disappeared. Joy is a good person. She stayed loyal when everyone else left. I'm making her Chinedu's nanny, with a big raise. She deserves it. You're a good man, Desmond. No, I said, shaking my head. I was a blind man, but not the way everyone thought. I was blind to the truth, blind to the people around me, blind to what mattered. I hugged Chinedu closer, but I can see now, and I'm never going to be blind again. 3 months later. Life got better. Slowly, but it got better.
Laura tried to fight me in court, but when my lawyers showed the judge all the evidence, her case fell apart. The divorce was final in 2 months. She moved in with Richard. Last I heard, they were fighting about money. Turns out Richard wasn't as rich as he pretended to be. Funny how that works. Mimi called me once a week now. The conversations were short, awkward, but they were something. She was living with Laura and going to a regular school. No more designer bags, no more expensive trips. She said she was sorry. I told her I forgave her.
And I meant it. Because hate is just another kind of blindness. Chinadu was happy. Happier than I had ever seen him. We spent every evening together. I taught him how to ride his bicycle. We drew pictures together. We played games. I was there. Really there. Not just physically, but emotionally too. Joy became more than just a housekeeper. She became family. She cooked meals. She helped with Chinadu. She made the house feel like a home again. One day, I was sitting in my office when Felix came to visit. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Better," I said, and I meant it. "Any regrets about the test?" I thought about it for a long time. "No," I finally said. "It was painful. The most painful thing I've ever done. But it showed me the truth. And the truth set me free." Felix nodded. "That's deep, brother." "You know what the funny thing is?" I said. "I thought losing my sight would be the worst thing that could happen to me. But it wasn't. The worst thing was realizing I had been blind my whole life. Blind to what really mattered. And what really matters." I smiled. Love. Real love. The kind that doesn't count your money. The kind that stays when you're weak. The kind that prays for you every night. Like Chinadu. Like Chinedu. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then I said something I had been thinking about for weeks. "Felix, I'm going to change the company. We're going to start a program for single fathers. Help them balance work and family. Because I don't want anyone else to lose what I almost lost." Felix grinned. "That's a great idea. And I'm setting up a foundation for kids whose parents are too busy chasing money to see them. We'll give them mentors, support, love. You're turning your pain into purpose. That's the only way to heal." That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. "Hello? Is this Mr. Desmond?" It was a woman's voice. Old, tired. "Yes, who is this?" "This is Laura's mother." I sat up straight. I hadn't spoken to my ex-mother-in-law since the divorce. "Mrs. Agnes, how can I help you?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For my daughter. For everything she did. I didn't know what to say. She called me yesterday, Mrs. Agnes continued. She's miserable. Richard left her. She has no money. She's living in a small apartment with Mimi. Part of me felt satisfaction, but a bigger part just felt sad. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I meant it. She asked me to call you, to beg you to take her back. And I told her no. I told her she made her choice. She has to live with it. I was surprised. Mrs. Agnes had always defended her daughter, no matter what. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you deserved better, Desmond. You always did. You're a good man, and I hope you find real happiness. I thanked her, whispered. After she hung up, I sat there for a long time. Was I happy? I looked around my office, at the pictures on the wall. Pictures of Chinedu, of Joy making funny faces, of Felix and me at my birthday party. Pictures of people who loved me, really loved me. Yes, I was happy. Not because I had money or success or a big house, but because I could see clearly now. And what I saw was worth more than anything money could buy. The end. But not really the end, because life goes on. And as I tucked Chinedu into bed that night, he looked up at me with those innocent eyes. Daddy? Yes, little man. I'm glad you can see again. I smiled and kissed his forehead. Me too, buddy. Me too. Because sometimes you have to pretend to be blind to finally see the truth. And the truth is this. Real love doesn't need eyes to see. It only needs a heart that's willing to stay, even in the darkness, especially in the darkness. If you've ever felt invisible in your own home, if you've ever wondered who would love you if you had nothing, if you've ever been betrayed by the people you trusted most, then you know Desmond's pain. But you also know his strength. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who get back up, who forgive, who love again, even after everything. Drop a comment and tell me, would you forgive someone like Laura, or would you walk away forever? Hit that like button if this story touched your heart, and subscribe, because real love stories, the painful ones, the beautiful ones, the true ones, they need to be told. Remember, you are loved. You are valued. You are more than what you own. And anyone who can't see that, they're the ones who are truly blind.